Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the astrology for 2024. I'm going to give you sort of a high-level overview for each of the months and generally speaking for the year. I will go into the sun signs and ascendants towards the end, but you can always check in on the chapters yourself that are listed below as well as in the timestamps as well. So for 2024, actually the most significant thing, especially in the US of A, is not necessarily the astrology. It's actually an election year, a presidential election year for 2024, culminating at the election on the 5th of November 2024. Now, I'll cover it a little bit more when I get into the month of November, but notably we have Mars will be opposite Pluto at this time, so we can expect some potential big egos out there, and I guess that's not going to be unusual, right? So this next part of my video, I'm going to talk about just the general overarching types of things that are going to be happening astrologically before I get into like the months and the details of them. So one of the first biggest things that's going to happen on January 1st, Pacific time, is that Mercury will go direct at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, but it's important to remember that it's going direct at that degree. In November, there will be another Mercury retrograde, and it will go retrograde at that. So that degree point of 22 degrees, for various reasons, which I'll get into in the details, is going to be important. If you've got that in your chart, pay attention to what house it's in. There's going to be some stuff that goes on for the whole of 2024 that affects you. Speaking of other Mercury retrogrades, there's two other ones. We've got a Mercury retrograde that's going to be in Aries. The same month that Aries, you actually have an eclipse, total new moon eclipse at 19 degrees. So it's all going to occur in Aries, and it's all going to occur in April. So that's an important time of considering new starts and pioneering new plans and paths for yourself, generally speaking. And the other Mercury retrograde that's going to happen starts in Virgo in August, but then ends up around 21 degrees of Leo. So both those signs, especially you, Virgo, because Mercury rules your sign, is going to be important for you to go back and looking at important details, right, for yourself during that time period of August. But Leo will be affected too, because of course that whole Mercury retrograde will go direct at 21 degrees of Leo. So that's another important Mercury retrograde, 3 of them this year. We've also I already talked about the eclipse that's happening in April at 19 degrees towards the end of April in Aries. But also in April, we have Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And it's going to be at 22 degrees of Taurus around April as well. But realistically, both Jupiter and Uranus will be conjunct very, very close together most of April and actually parts of May too. So those are also 2 months that are going to be important for us to be involved in some unexpected things coming our way that maybe help us break out of a rut. Big or small ruts, doesn't really matter. Most affected, of course, is going to be Taurians, and then the opposite sign of Scorpio too, where your partners may be brought in more. The eclipses, like I said, continue in both Libra as well as Aries. I'll discuss those in the monthly part of this video. But the other big thing in terms of eclipses is in September, the 17th of September, we will have our first eclipse that's not in Aries or Libra. It's going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces. And this kicks off us understanding that the transiting north nodes are going to be changing soon. Not in September, but in the second half of January 2025. And this eclipse on the 17th of September at 25 degrees Pisces is important because it's going to bring some things to light, probably in a big way if you've got anything around those degrees. So let's take 24, 25, 26 degrees of Pisces. You can bet that the following January 2025 for 18 months, that area of your life is going to be lit up and affected. But Pisces in particular is going to be affected because, of course, that eclipse is going to be very closely to conjuncting Neptune that's still in Pisces itself, along with Saturn. All right, that's just a really general overview. I'm now going to get into the individual months and some of the aspects that are happening at that time. All right, so starting off with January, literally on the 1st of Jan, we have that Mercury that was going retrograde in December 2023 will now go direct at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. And, Sagittarius is a very hopeful sign. And so I just saw this as a standalone to be very hopeful. Now, we still have to have Mercury come out of the shadow period and go back into Capricorn, right around the 8th degree of Capricorn. That's not going to really happen till about the 21st, 22nd of January. It'll be officially out of shadow period. But the other thing that we have happening in January that I thought was noteworthy was the fact that, we all know that Pluto is basically in Aquarius, but that 2024 is the very last year that Pluto will kind of go back into the last degrees of Capricorn. But in January, we will have a Sun at 0 degrees of Aquarius, conjunct Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And so that's going to be a very, very important time period. It is around that 21st, 22nd time period too, when we have Mercury going out of shadow. So I would expect some kind of significant effect from the standpoint of probably the world leaders, and something that tells us that there is a definite shift with regards to power and how it's being used. I will cover January as well in more detail in my January video. The other thing that happens is, and it usually does happen around this time of year, is Uranus will be going direct. So I see that as significant too. Now, that Uranus going direct in January may actually give us a lot of impetus to break free of something. And maybe that Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. So maybe that's going to be a time, the month of January, where we see significant change with regards to, more things being given to the people, a more even playground with regards to, what everyone's going to be able to access, healthcare, anything along that line, and just being treated well, that everyone's being treated well, right? Lots of humanitarian type things may be going on too. But it really is giving power back to the people. And so, sometimes this can turn out where, there's going to be certain entrenched political parties ousted, and, the people decide to make the changes, right? All right, so that's January. We move on to February. And the 9th of February, we have a new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius. Now, although this isn't going to be doing anything directly with Pluto, it is a new moon in Aquarius where Pluto is going to habit pretty soon, basically in November 2024 for 20 years. So I saw this new moon as probably something significant because it also opposes Uranus, which is now direct, and that is one of its rulers. So I would expect something significant of new that's going to happen around that new moon. And if you individually have something, say, around the 20-degree mark of Aquarius, you can expect some unexpected new beginning here. And at that same time, the north nodes are going to be conjuncting Chiron. And so this says, from a collective level to me, great healing for our future destiny. We're going to have Pluto for most of February 2024 at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And, right the way the beginning and into the first half of February, we're going to have that whole 0 degrees of Aquarius and Pluto being aspected by the inner planets. First of all, it's going to be Mercury. So that says some kind of powerful message will be given. It could also be translated into, because that whole Aquarius can represent some kind of electronic type things, even scientific things. It could be some big announcement that happens here in February of significance, right? And then we have Mars is going to be conjuncting Pluto at 0 degrees. Followed by, sort of mid-February, Venus conjunct. Now, we can also speak to things like maybe new kind of currencies. I mean, we know we've got different types of ways we can, deal with money or exchange money itself. But this could represent some real tangible things happening with regards to the power of our money. Maybe there will be new currencies or equivalents of currencies that come at this time. No longer the world basing everything on the US dollar. There may be some changes with regards to that happens here. But certainly, this is just supporting that whole January 2021 time period where we had the Sun conjunct Pluto. We just have then these planets, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, conjuncting that same point, and of course, conjuncting Pluto. So I see February as probably one of the more significant months with regards to actual change that is tangible that we can see. That's truly going to be supporting the people, right? Now, what may also at this time, we may have an emergence of different groups, because that's another Aquarius thing, is, our groups that we belong to, right? And the idea is that no one's elevated to a position of power within the group. When we talk about Aquarius, everyone's supposed to be similar, right? But I think in the end, we contribute, all its individuals will contribute something to the group. I did do a video on Pluto in Aquarius. I'm not going to get into too much of that right now, but check out my video. I'll put the link below. I do go into all the sun signs and ascendants, so it might be worth your while checking out what area of your life, right, you're going to have Pluto operating from a transformational standpoint for 20 years, certainly starting officially in November 2024. All right, in March, we have our first eclipse. It's going to be really towards the end of March, and it will be at 5 degrees of Libra. We'll also have Venus will be opposing Saturn, and we'll also have Mars squaring Uranus. So there could be some things come to a big conclusion here of some sort with regards to what? Well, in an individual standpoint, Libra can represent things that are diplomatic. It can represent relationships, the law, that type of thing. Seeking harmony could be something that is relevant at this point. We could see some breakups of some relationships. Certainly with the Venus conjunct Saturn, we were really looking at things have to be real with regards to anything in the love area, right? But Venus also rules our money. So there could be some new rules and regulations in March that are formed around our money systems that are put into effect. If this is in your individual chart, this certainly could mean that you got to take your money more seriously. But for others, it could just say that you take the value of yourself more seriously. Or that may be even at its best. We could see those above you, your superiors, saying that I value who you are and giving you some recognition. Now, the Mars square Uranus just means fractious energy here, that it's almost like, things popping out of the woodwork. So it could be something along that line in March where we see disagreements. And like I mentioned earlier, this is an election year. So there will be something happening in March with regards to the election as well. It just may be, as I said, things popping out, this energy popping out that says, see me, see me, see me, right? Now we look at April, we have another eclipse. And this is a more significant one from the standpoint of that it's a total eclipse. It's a new moon at 19 degrees of Aries on the 8th of April. Now, the other thing that goes with this whole eclipse is the fact that we've got a Mercury retrograde happening in Aries. And this particular Mercury retrograde does stay in the sign of Aries. So really, if you've got any sort of major placements around Aries, you're probably going to be affected in some way in April, and not necessarily in a bad way. You really have to look at your individual chart. It's a new moon eclipse, so that's positive. And it just, generally speaking, in Aries initiates things, right? When we talk about Aries in an eclipse, generally speaking, depending where this is in your chart, will indicate, what new beginning you're going to have. And when you have a total eclipse, there could be some, if you've got something around the 19-degree mark of Aries, or maybe the opposite sign of Libra, something unexpected comes in, whoosh, like this big breath of fresh air to give you some new beginning and maybe help some folks express their individual need to be on their own path, right? So that Mercury retrograde we spoke about will be at 27 degrees of Aries. We're also going to have other things happening here too. We will have on the 25th of April that Mercury will go direct at 15 degrees of Aries. So we're looking at the 15 to 27 degrees of Aries for the Mercury retrograde, right? We have Jupiter, notably, will be conjunct Uranus at 22 degrees of Taurus around the 25th of April. But honestly, if you look at an ephemeris, you'll see that Jupiter and Uranus are close in orb of conjunction, not only the whole month of April, but also into May. But if we pick out a particular day where they are exactly conjunct, we're looking at around the 25th of April. So see if you've got anything at 22 degrees of Taurus. And I did a video on this too. I'll put that link below. I cover all the ascendants and sun signs too in that video. But April could also be another really significant month, really for, I would say, big breakthroughs and new starts. And again, look to, first of all, where you've got Aries, but then also look where you've got Taurus at 22 degrees with that whole Jupiter conjunct Uranus, right? Now, to have any major effects, as I always say, you really have to have something very close to these degree points that I'm discussing here, right? We also have Venus conjunct the North nodes, and I really like that. So that puts, to me, potentially an emphasis again on our money. It could put an emphasis on relationships, and it could put, especially if it aspects something in your chart, if it does, maybe you're going to get on a new destiny path with regards to relationships and or our values, right? And especially value of ourself. So there may even just be some discussions that go on with the whole effect of Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius asking us to, treat everybody as equal. This could have discussions going on with regards to how we need to do that. And as a collective, get on our destiny path here where we do value each individual. Also in April, we will have Mars conjunct Saturn. That's on the 9th of April. And then Mars also will be the same month conjunct Neptune on the 29th of April. So these are all big activations. Mars likes to activate things, right? And so Mars conjunct Saturn, first of all, it can put a delay on something where, the law or the laws or someone in power says, no, stop, you can't go forward right now. And then when we've got Mars conjunct Neptune, that can bring in elements, especially on a collective level, of fogginess, deceit, hiding things, that sort of thing. So that's around the end of April. You can have this going on. And I think we're going to probably see this playing out more in the collective, maybe with things around the election, where people are hiding things or have been hiding things, and then that all comes out into the open. Yeah, so that could actually happen too in April. So looks like a pretty packed month in April too, especially for breaking free and getting on a new path with regards to you being an individual. When we look at May, we've got a full moon at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. Pluto will be going retrograde, but it'll stay at around that 2-degree Aquarius mark. And it will be sextiling the sun. The sun will be trining Pluto. We have the sun going to be conjunct Uranus in May. And also in May, around the 4th week of May, we're going to have Jupiter ingress or go into Gemini for a year. And that's going to be exciting, right? And I also did a video on this, so I'll put the link below for that one as well. But really, Jupiter in Gemini is going to put a bigger spotlight on any kind of communications, essentially. Now, I guess you could say that things like AI, it's already big discussions about that. But as I dip my toe more into that too, it's like, wow, there's a lot of things surrounding it. So I think there's going to be big discussions going on in that area. There could be new breakthroughs with regards to any kind of communication systems. And I guess when we think about it, we use things like the internet a lot, right? Maybe there's going to be a new version or upgrade of some sort that's going to be significant for us. Jupiter, as its own standalone, can represent foreign people and foreign things. So there may be a lot more discussions and talk about foreign things in that month of May too, throughout the year till May 2025. When we look at June, with Jupiter now in Gemini, it will be trining Pluto in Aquarius. And so there may be some significant transformation here of some either communications that are out there regarding foreign people, foreign lands, or just some kind of major upgrade, like I said, a transformation of some sort with regards to our communication systems. We will have Venus sextile Mars, and here we're talking about, of course, the influence of both Cancer and Taurus here. So these are lovely energies. If you've got anything around that Cancer degree, this could bring in some opportunities for relationships, but it can also bring in some opportunities for friendships too, and also sort of collaborative working together. You know, we're looking at both Cancer and Taurus here as signs as part of the sextile. And so when we talk about Cancer, we're talking about certainly anything to do with nurturing. And then, of course, Taurus is all about potentially the land. It's our money systems. So that's the other thing with the Venus part especially. It could be our homeland takes on some new initiative with regards to our money systems in June. And that actually occurs around the end of June, 28th of June. And then Venus will be opposite the full moon in Capricorn on the 6th of June. So, and conjunct the sun. So I think that this month of June may bring some highlight here with regards to the money systems that we're talking about. For others, depending if you've got anything around this degree point, it may bring up some new relationship for you or end a relationship for you. It could go either way, right? You've got the mix of June of potential starting new relationships, opportunities for that, but then also at the full moon, which is really early on, that's on the 6th of June, there could be some decision of ending some relationships here too. But I think on a collective level, this is all about our money. Money and communication systems getting an upgrade of some sort in June. All right, when we look at July, we have the sun opposite Pluto on the 23rd of July. And so this is really power struggles. And I think this will translate on a collective level back to the whole election process through 2024, leading up to November, right? Just fractious energy of people in power saying, no, I'm more important, that type of thing. Now we look at the new moon in July, that's going to be at 14 degrees of Cancer. So that could be also significant for folks that have anything around that 14 degree mark, especially for Cancer rising, a whole new start for you, right? And I actually happen to have my ascendant at 14 degrees of Cancer. So keep an eye out for me, guys, for July. We will have the sun conjunct Venus on the 1st of July. I think that's really beautiful as well. We have a full moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Sextile Neptune exactly. So that is also going to be significant for July as well as that full moon. And I think that's going to mark a tie-up with regards to the whole Pluto being in Capricorn too this year, 2024. So I think, again, this is going to see some endings of political either parties or governments that are the old guard that need to go. And that's also going to be up here in July as well. And we're going to have Venus opposite Pluto too on the 13th of July. This, I think, is going to be another tie-in with our money. Maybe there's going to be some major shift with regards to how those in power controlling our money are going to have to change. And maybe that's going to equate into our bank systems. I'm not a financial astrologer. There's lots of good ones out there. I'm just kind of reading how I would read astrology, generally speaking. We're going to have Mercury and Venus, though, will be trining the north nodes, and then they'll trine Chiron in July as well. And so this is, I think, pleasantries, people speaking nicely, people being charming, that type of thing. People talking about where do we need to go here with regards to our collective destiny? Where do we need to heal? Now, it could also have, if, things I'm hearing, rumblings of other type of respiratory diseases coming into play, if those transmit again on a worldwide level, this could have us talking about, in a favorable way, how to cope with that in July. But it's a trine, so I would say this is all positive energy, right? Now in August, we have a new moon at 12 degrees of Leo. And of course, we must remember that if we dial back to 2023, we had in early September that Venus retrograde that we had ongoing throughout the summer in Leo went direct at 12 degrees. So for those folks that were affected by this, the Venus retrograde at 12 degrees, this new moon is your new start for that. And certainly if you are, say, a Leo ascendant and you've got something at 12 degrees, or your ascendant rather is at 12 degrees of Leo, this is a whole new start for the whole year. But this is a new start in relationships. So there may be some folks that, went through some kind of transition in September 2023. And then in August, maybe some folks will get engaged, some folks will get married. It's a traditional month for marriage too. We're going to have a start of a Mercury retrograde in August, and it will be starting off on the 5th of August at 4 Virgo. But it's going to go direct at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So we've got two signs being covered here in August. So Virgo as well as Leo need to pay attention to maybe reviewing something, depending where you have either Virgo or Leo in your chart. You may have to go back and take a look at things, perhaps with regards to how you've been communicating, or communications given to you can represent writing as well. We have Mars conjunct Jupiter on the 14th of August. That's absolutely lovely. That's going to give, and it's in Jupiter being in Gemini. I think this could be a time when there's some big initiative with regards to maybe some scientific breakthrough of some sort, where we get news of that. And again, this may also be tied in with any of our AI type things, any kind of communication systems. With Mars putting energy into it, it could be literally new communication systems being put into some overseas countries that gives us a bigger spotlight on what's going on over there. We end the month on the 30th with Venus, lovely trine with Pluto. That's fantastic. So this can bring in some very transformational love energies here, right? But it can also bring in some big transformation with regards to your money as well, in a very positive way, right? Because it's a trine. Now in September, we've got a new moon at 11 degrees of Virgo on the 3rd, and it's going to be opposite Saturn. Remember, Saturn is in Pisces at this time. So this could just mean, really, these are people wanting to exert their authority, that's the Saturn part, with that new moon. So, it just may have some individuals here saying, I'm in the right, I know the rules and the regulations here, and trying to bring out some facts. Hopefully this is a helpful thing for us too, right? Again, we go back to things happening regarding the lead up to the actual election. Will still be going on in September too. Now, what's interesting in September for me is that we're going to have the start of eclipses in Pisces for this year, and then next year we'll have one in the opposite sign of Virgo. But this is our clue to the fact that we're going to be having a change of the north nodes, right? Because eclipses happen as a result of the involvement of the north nodes and or the south nodes. So in this case, we have the north nodes being affected because the full moon eclipse is going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces. The actual nodes themselves, the transiting nodes, will not go into Pisces until 2025. That's January 20, sort of mid-month, January 2025. So it really doesn't fall into this year. But this is a little heads up for us. So it's a full moon eclipse at 25 degrees of Pisces. So check to see where you've got 25 degrees of Pisces in your chart, because this could be an activation area that's really going to start in full force starting in January 2025 for about 18 months. And that's around the 18th of September, that full moon eclipse in Pisces. We have Mercury squaring Uranus this month of September. And so this is really, messages, communications go awry. I mean, if you think of it, Uranus is kind of the higher octave of Mercury here. So there could be some major breakdowns of communication systems. They maybe go down for some reason, or difficulties getting maybe major different internet type things or to internet related things working properly because there's some big challenges with regards to it. We have the sun opposite Saturn here too. And so this could actually see in September, I'm thinking maybe some facts come to life because there's a big influence of Virgo here in September that challenge some of those people that are in power, and maybe some people stepping down here that had some kind of power or did some kind of rules and regulations. I wonder if it's going to be the in the USA anyway, the Supreme Court or something like that, where somebody is challenged and they may have to step down in September. Okay, we'll have to see about that. We're also going to have the sun here squaring Jupiter. And it's really hard to get a bad aspect with Jupiter. You got to work pretty hard for that. But this could bring in some exaggeration from those who already have big egos. I've not put the degree points down here, but know that, in my monthly videos, I will give you all that as well. Nicely, though, we're going to have Venus trine Jupiter on the 15th of September, and that's beautiful. These are the two benefics. This is just mark that as a really pleasant day where really good things could happen for you. When we look at Pluto, Pluto's now going to be kind of stationing and staying at that 29 degrees of Capricorn right the way through parts of November before it finally sits in to 0 degrees of Aquarius and stays there for 20 years or so. So this is also a tie-up, that 29 degree is called an anaretic degree. It really just means that it's this big culmination of energies for that final push of what? To really see the end of political power that is no longer of use to us. So there may be some big upsets here, not only in September, but right the way through the first part of November too, in that regard. In October, we are going to have a new moon at 10 degrees of Libra conjunct Mercury. And that's on the 2nd of October. Well, this is just going to bring, in my mind, if whatever fractious stuff has been happening prior to this new moon, this is going to bring in some real peace, some real harmony, and diplomacy will be working at its highest and its best. The full moon is going to be at 24 degrees of Aries, and that's going to be on the 17th of October, and it will be squaring Mars, its ruler. So generally speaking, this full moon could just bring in some challenges, especially if you've got something around that 24 degree of Aries. Challenges to what? To move forward, basically, to make changes. So it's squaring the ruler of Aries, Mars. So that's going to be some challenges around that full moon. And when we look at the sun, it will be squaring Pluto on the 22nd. And that's also going to bring, again, these ego energies into light, right? And cause some challenges for us. I think this is more from a collective standpoint. People standing up saying, I'm in the right, or I've got the power. And, the ego is getting out there. Now, we're going to have Mars also trine Neptune, so it's not going to be square or conjunct Neptune, it's going to be trine. So this is really bringing some hope and inspiration into October for us, right? And then we're also going to have Venus square the Saturn part of it here too. So that's going to just also bring challenges into our money systems. Maybe there's going to be some blip that happens on the stock market at that time where we've got to take accountability for where are we going here with our money. Or we're being asked to be more accountable with regards to our money, say on an individual level. For others, it can bring in some challenges with relationships. I've not got the degree points here. Again, I'll put that into my monthlies when I put my videos up for each of the individual months. So when we go into November, November 5th, 2024 is the presidential election, the formal day that happens. And so we're going to have what? We're going to have a new moon on the 1st, and that will be at 9 degrees of Scorpio. I see that as a relatively, good thing. It precedes the actual election. So let's hope that brings in some new things with regards to not only the presidential election going well, but also in regards to our money systems too. So that whole Scorpio-Taurus axis can also represent our monies here. That day we're going to have the Sun trine Saturn. That's excellent too. Maybe there's going to be agreement for those that have, that control our money systems. Maybe there's going to be some positive news of some sort. That would be awesome. What else do we have happening here? We've got the full moon at 24 degrees of Taurus, and it will be sextiling Saturn at this time as well. So I think November, apart from the probably antics around the presidential election on the 5th, I think this is going to be a money month, money systems month. Banks, the Fed in the USA, all that activity is going to be, I think, around those areas as well. We have Venus squaring Neptune, so this could be, some kind of revelation with regards to smoke and mirrors or confusion around money or money systems. We're going to have Mars also opposite Pluto at this time, and that could just be aggression. That's what I'm seeing, powerful aggression of some sort happening in November too. Now, this could also play out in the political world too, of course, right? A push and pull of power, that opposition. Venus will be opposite Jupiter, and I don't see that as a negative either, except that, again, an opposition with Jupiter can bring in, exaggeration. So again, it's in the November, the month of November, where the election is. People. I'm getting this image of people pounding their chest, and maybe some of those women are going to be women because this is Venus, right? But it can also bring in maybe some real, not necessarily challenges, but discussions. I'm thinking, even though it's not Mercury, around our money systems. And maybe this will also involve some kind of big communications that have to happen because Jupiter, remember, is in Gemini at that time. We're going to have also the Sun opposite Uranus again. And of course, this is going to bring in, unexpected events around, I think, that month. I think it's going to affect the whole month, that whole Sun opposite Uranus. And it's going to bring in unexpected events around those people that may be I'm thinking there's some subversive stuff going on here with that whole lineup. Let me just look up to see exactly when the sun is going to be opposite Uranus in November 2024. Just give me a minute here, guys. Yeah. So we're looking at around the 17th of November 2024. So, you know, the counting the ballots and all that is certainly going to be going on around that point, but I think there's going to be some challenges, unexpected things popping out around that November. But it could also bring in something to light, some communications, because Jupiter's in Gemini regarding, again, foreign countries of some sort here, right? All right, when we go into December, we have, first of all, Pluto will be going direct. We are going to have a new moon in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, listen up. You've got in 2024, you know, new beginnings for yourself. And especially if you have something around 9 degrees of Sagittarius, these are going to be new beginnings. But they won't come without some kind of consideration, especially at this new moon on the 2nd of December at 9 Sagittarius, because it will be squaring that whole Saturn in Pisces. And this could just mean a challenge for you to start these new beginnings that you want to get on with. Maybe you've got to just check a few boxes here and maybe check in with people in authority before you can move forward with that new start, wherever this falls in your chart, right? We have Mars going retrograde also in December, and it's going to go retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo. So certainly check to see what you might have around that 6-degree mark of Leo. It won't cover the same geography as the Venus retrograde in Leo. We also are going to have Venus conjunct Pluto. Well, these are like transformational love connections could happen at this time. But this will be for a second time, right? We already talked about in February the inner planets, right, that move very quickly. We had Venus conjunct Pluto at that time too. So this is the second time here that Venus could conjunct Pluto. And if we take it to sort of like an individual level, it could just be some people decide to take whatever major connection, love connection they had at that time, and maybe it goes to the next step or the next level here. But it can also mean major transformation, like maybe the final transformation of our money systems, right? Because remember, at this time, Pluto will be in Aquarius along with Venus in Aquarius. This will not be a Capricorn thing. So some kind of, I'm thinking more, you know, money being distributed to the people. I mean, we'll have to see how that pans out, I guess. But because Aquarius is involved here, right? Some kind of people, the people in power, giving literally power to the people, but it's in connection with their money. We're going to have the full moon at 23 degrees of Gemini, and that will be squaring Neptune too here. This is just going to bring in some challenges with regards to any kind of communications. So if you've got something at 23 degrees of Gemini, you know, note that the heads up here is there's going to be some confusion, and more than likely that confusion is going to be around communication systems, whether that's you talking, even your thinking, right, your thoughts, or writing projects of some sort too. The new moon is going to be at 9 degrees of Capricorn on the 30th, and Venus will be squaring Uranus. So Venus square Uranus around that time of the new moon, again, I think is going to go back to this whole money type thing where there may be another shakeup in money systems. And this could be a worldwide thing that could actually be happening here, right? The new moon at 9 degrees of Capricorn just has that one thing. But certainly for those folks that do have something, say at 9 degrees, like your ascendant, this could bring in a whole new start for you. If you do have your own sun or moon around that 9 degrees, this could set up some new start for you for the next year. All right, that kind of wraps up my take for each of the months Again, it's at a really high level. I know many of my viewers will know more than me and might want to put some comments in there with regards to maybe something I might have missed. But know that I will get into more detail, including degrees and dates, when I do my actual videos for each of those months. So next I'm going to go on to look at either your sun sign and or your ascendant. Whatever resonates with you, might be a good idea to maybe listen to both or watch both. And I just wanted to say a big thank you and a hello to all my Spotify and audio listeners. Man, that whole system that I've got going is just taking off due to people really listening to all my podcasts. So I want to thank my listeners for that too. All right, let's delve into the ascendants and or your sun signs next. All right, so let's go into the individual signs and or sun signs. As usual, you should go with whatever actually resonates with you, right? I would suggest you actually listen or watch both your ascendant first to see what area of life what I'm talking about is going to affect you, and then do your sun sign, because the sun is the most important thing in your chart, right? Just to get some more information. Okay, so for Libra, you're still under the auspices of these eclipses, right? Either in your sign or in your opposite sign of Aries. So notably, you've got two eclipses that are going to be happening. You've got the full moon in Libra at the end of March. So there's going to be some big illumination for you, especially if you've got something around 5 degrees of Libra. And then you've got a new moon at 10 degrees of Libra on the 2nd of October. So I would say both March and October are going to be important to you. Why? First, in the March one, it's you realizing either something's culminating, something you need to let go of. And for some Librans, it might be you letting go of a relationship. It could also have you tying up some maybe legal matter of some sort. It could also be illuminating, Libra, where you're not having balance in your life, right? So that's the end of March one. And then when we have that new moon on the 2nd of October, that's going to light up the whole of October for you for new starts, especially if you have something around that 10 degrees. For some people, it may be literally starting a career in diplomacy. Others, you pass the bar and you're now officially a lawyer. For others, it could have you dealing in a new way with legal matters. For others, it could also have a new start for you to have harmony in your life and to have balance in your life. So both these eclipses are really highlighting in my mind for 2024 for Librans, generally speaking. You need to bring harmony and balance into your life in 2024 to get on this whole new start with the assistance of that new moon in October. Now, when we look at the other new moon, which is going to be in Aries, it's a total eclipse on the 8th of April at 19 degrees of Aries. So this is going to be more than likely something to do with a partner, more than likely a marriage partner. Now, this could be this new moon in Aries in April. Maybe you get married. That could be for some Librans are up for that. That could happen. It's a new start, right? So it's very favorable that way. And it's a total eclipse. It's going to change your life. But it could also literally have your partner have something major happen to them that affects you, but it comes through them. Clients can also bring some new big start for you at that eclipse in April in Aries too. Now, Venus, as you know, rules your sign, Libra. So we like to look, well, where's Venus going to be most positive in 2024 for you? Well, it's going to be in September. You're going to have Venus in Libra most of September. So again, hey, we can pick out September here as a time period where you may attract in what? Attract in benefits, just generally speaking. Attract in money. Attract in love. Maybe that's going to be up for you. Maybe some new relationship that may started at the new moon in April starts really blossoming for you when Venus is in your sign in September, right? But women could be important for you, for sure. especially September time period. Now that Mercury retrograde that is going to be happening at kind of the same month that the eclipse is happening is also going to be in your opposite sign. The whole time, that whole Mercury retrograde in Aries stays in Aries. So that whole retrograde is going to be in that 7th house again. So again, this could be your partner, your marriage partner. Something's up with them with regards to maybe how they communicate with you or you communicate with them. It could be for others putting some kind of legal things together with regards to a marriage partner or business partner, or both. It could have you going back and having discussions with a partner. Let's just say you're involved in some legal case of some sort. It could have you going behind the scenes to try to make things better or figure out what to do here together with a partner, right? Yeah. So that Mercury retrograde in Aries runs in tandem with the new start in your 7th house. So partners are big for you in that April time period and actually into May too. So I would say, Libra, listen to your partners is the best thing I can advise you, and work with them to put maybe something together that helps you get this new start on the 8th of April when you've got that new moon eclipse happening, right? And also in April, Venus is going to be in Aries. Again, that's going to be in your opposite sign of the 7th house. So, the best possible thing I can see happening here, especially during that April time period, is you could attract in a potential marriage partner for yourself. You could decide to get married also in April too. These could all be favorable for you to change your life. And to put more balance and harmony into your life too. We also have Jupiter towards the end of May is going to be going into Gemini, and that trines your sign for a whole year. And it involves your 9th house. So, this could bring in you literally becoming a teacher. So for some Librans, you may have some kind of teaching role that starts manifesting itself towards the end of May 2024. Some may even be teaching the law at this time, because that's very Libra-like, right? Now, the 9th house could activate you deciding to maybe go back and get some kind of education for the next year or upgrade some of your skills. For others, it may have you, if you've got to deal with anything in the legal profession, this is positive, it's a trine, so you're going to work stuff out. For others, it may have you deciding to take some trip. Maybe you've not been taking vacation, and you get this great idea towards the end of May, hey, I'm going to take a trip, and you start planning for that to kick off in 2024. Maybe that kickoff is going to happen at your new moon in October, right? It would be a good thing to aim for sure. It's also publishing the 9th house, so for those Librans that want to publish something, it's a favorable setup for the whole year to do that, right? Now, Pluto will be in Aquarius from 0 to 2 degrees in 2024. And then the following year, 2025, we'll have it go into Aquarius fully for 20 years. And hey, it trines you. How awesome is that? And it trines your 5th house. Wow. So there's going to be some transformational energies start to peek through in 2024, but manifest more the following years with regards to what? With regards to you getting into any kind of creative projects, those are going to be highly favored and highly favored to actually transform you in a positive way. And that creative project could mean children. So you may start having children, and you may get some indication of that in 2024. Maybe you'll get married and follow up with children the following year. There's going to be some Librans that fall into that. It's your own business, the 5th house too. So this is going to be, a favorable 2-decade time period, Libra, for you to develop favorably and attract in favorable things to start your own business. But creative endeavors are going to be, and especially unusual outside the box creative endeavors. And if there's some element of a humanitarian friendship type thing, and also utilizing any social platform like the internet, YouTube, all that type of thing. It's all going to be favorable for you. But true love is also represented by that 5th house. So there's going to be some Librans in 2024 into 2025 that will probably fall in love, get married. There may be others that leave a marriage or serious relationships and discover true love with that influence of Pluto trining their 5th house of true love, right? All right. Take care of yourself, Libra. All right, everybody. I'm sure I've missed some things out that my very apt and able subscribers and viewers and clients will point out to me in the comments, and please do that. I'm happy to have it. I did try to take a really good look at 2024, not only for, generally speaking, the months, but also for you individually. Obviously, I'm going to give you a lot more details as we go through each month and I post my videos. I did mention that I've got 2 other links here that you could check out. Jupiter going into Gemini, and then, of course, the whole Jupiter conjunct Uranus. I did videos on both those, as well as actually Pluto in Aquarius. And I think you'll really find them useful if you're interested in them. Links are below. Look, everybody, I want you to take care of yourself. We've got a new year, a new start, and I'm really feeling optimistic for everybody and sending you lots of love for, I hope, a lot of our dreams and wishes coming true in 2024. Please take care, and we'll talk to you soon.